The Indian market, like every market, is not easy. And more especially in India, because for two reasons. As you know, the Indian market is mainly dominated by two brands today, and the segment, the BH segment, and the car below 4 meters is representing more than 70% of the TIV. Even if it is moving, the SUV segment now, overall SUV segment is representing 30%, when you think that in 2012 it was not existing. So it is a challenging market, and where not so many OEM are profitable, even after so many years. For this reason, it's not an easy one. And we have demanding customers who are accessing to the car for the first time. Most of the time, they are quite young, and 64% of the population is below 34 years old. And they want something new, something upgraded, something moving on, something. So for this reason, the market is a bit different than some other market. It is why it is so important to be very well implemented in this country in terms of localization. Localization rate is key. What does it mean? It means for the C3, our localization rate is higher than 90%, close to 95%. What does it mean? It means that this car is coming from a platform called the Smart Car Platform that we announced on 3rd of April 2019, when we unveiled the brand Citroen and the first car that we wanted to launch, the C5 SUV, and saying we are going to develop in India first, for the group, the time being, which is still valid for today for the Stellantis group, a platform in India, conceptualized in India, engineering in India, by Indian, for Indian. It's what we did. It's what we did. And giving us the opportunity to bring something new in the market, we hope meeting the customer expectations, and at the same time being competitive because of the high rate of localization. I think this is key to be successful in such market as India. Yeah, it is a very, very high rate. It is what it is needed to be competitive and providing the right quality expectation to the Indian people. How? We invested as a Stellantis group 1 billion euro. 1 billion euro. What does it mean? It means that we have 3 factories. One in Hosur, where we are manufacturing gearbox and engine. We are already exporting the gearbox in big numbers to Europe. One in Tiruvalur, in south of Chennai, where we developed the smart car platform. And one in Ranjagan, when we are manufacturing Jeep. And more than that, we have 2 R&D centers. One in Pune, one in Chennai. One global ICT hub in Hyderabad. And we have as well a global purchasing hub based in India. Because what is very important, what we took us so long time, or 5 years if I say, to develop this platform, is because we wanted to develop a very strong and robust, for Citroen, supplier base, which is now Stellantis. We have a big one, Indian supplier base in India, and most of the suppliers are located within 50 kilometers. So this footprint is so important. It took time, but at least we have it, and it is a real asset. Real asset to give you a high rate of localization in terms of giving you a benefit in terms of competitiveness, but as well in terms of total cost of ownership and flexibility. Flexibility, which is so important in such market where people are young and they want something new and different frequently. I think this is what, so far we are concerned, very important and part of our strategy as a long-term commitment of Stellantis in India.
I think just to add to what Roland said, what's really important is if you want to go to 90% plus localization, in our case 95% plus localization, it's the order and sequence of what you localize, and therefore the Hosur factory, which is our powertrain factory, coming alive much before the vehicle factory was a strategic decision that the group had taken. because what it helps you deliver is, for one, your powertrain, which is almost 30 to 35% of the total cost, is localized, and it's ready to feed into your vehicle assembly before the vehicle assembly starts. So before the C3 localization and the local assembly lines have started, the Hosur factory was already exporting powertrains, and we were already building the C5 powertrain in India. The engine was being assembled here. And now both the PureTech 82 and the PureTech 110, along with the 5-speed and 6-speed transmissions, will come from Hosur. So it's also the order and sequence of how we've gone ahead with this. Normally, a lot of OEMs do it the other way around. Powertrain localization happens much later, but in our case, it's the other way around.
I will start first, and I will leave Saurabh to complete. You're right. When you come into a segment with a new model, we need to bring something new all the time. This is the purpose of bringing added value and market growing. So far, we are concerned with the new C3. We wanted to bring something new, which is, first of all, the Citroen brand, which is new in this market, not so well known so far, even if the C5 SUV has already been launched. And with this C3, which is a B hatch with SUV codification or attitude, you see the ground clearance is higher, the back seat is higher, the front is quite, if I may say, SUV style, if I may say. And the Citroen DNA, something that we have already demonstrated with the C5 SUV, which is the Citroen flagship. What is it? What it is? Advanced technology in terms of comfort. The comfort, you will experience it tomorrow, I hope so, is going to be found through the flying carpet effect with the road handling and the comfort seat. That is absolutely the Citroen DNA, which has already been proved by the C5 SUV and recognized by the customer. This is something that we wanted to bring to this kind of segment, which will be something new. Then the second point that I will leave Saurabh to express is the way that we are going to offer to our customers what we think they expect to. Because again, we develop this car in India, for India first. We listen to the customers and we try to distinguish which is essential for the important, because everything is important. But we really wanted to be focused on essentials. I could tell you some examples. For example, air conditioning, which is going quick, very fast to something very cool, is because they said that is important for us. Secondly, our customers, probably in big proportion, first-time buyer or second-time buyer. And we listen to what they said. They want something trendy. I think the style of the C3 is really trendy, very lively. They want something comfortable, so the road handling, but they want as well a car which is showing that every time they can upgrade. And it is all about expression style and customization that I will leave Saurabh to explain now. That will be as well something new, without speaking about the digital journey that we have already explained. Saurabh can take the role and speaking about.
So I think what Roland mentioned, important points there. Also, I mean, let's start from the digital consumer journey. So we've digitized the entire discovery and then search discovery and coming to configuring the vehicles even before coming to the showroom, and then coming to the La Maison phygital showrooms that we have and completing that journey. That is one aspect of reaching out to the young and progressive Indians as far as the C3 consumer is concerned. The second aspect, which Roland touched upon briefly, is very important, is customization. And that's when we go out to the consumers. We've got two feedbacks from a very clear voice of consumer, I would say, that we've heard. One, simplify our buying process. Don't give us too many options or too many number of trims or variants. And very clearly, the young and the progressives age group, anywhere between 28 to 40, people are saying simplify it. And the recent pandemic has really forced people to kind of operate from various locations, whether home or any other location. And people say we don't make the journey to the showroom every time, and These complicated option lists are very difficult to choose from. So therefore, make it simple and make it easy for us to buy. And second, when you make it simple, give us easy options to personalize or customize the car. Because in all that's happening around, people want to express their style, right? And which is where it's very important that we offer customization options to the consumers. And we are quite confident that we have one of the most robust customization options today in the segment. Like we explained, 3 packs, 56 options, and over 70 accessories at launch. And this has not happened overnight. Obviously, I mean, all these parts and accessories have to get onto the car. The car has been configured right from the design stage to take them on. So clearly, in terms of USPs, it's the overall design and styling, the chassis suspension dynamics. Like Roland mentioned, tropicalized air conditioning was super important because of the Indian summer. The comfort in the car, that's Citroen Advanced Comfort, that truly stands for the infotainment system. And then from an outward appearance or the styling perspective, it's the customization options that we're going to offer to the consumer. I would say the consumers through the pandemic, of course, have experienced a whole load of different things. But as you rightly said, we started much earlier. And when you're looking at the consumer segments that we are going to be operating with the CQ platform, very clear that there is a distinct move towards searching for vehicles much ahead of visiting a showroom. And that search is happening outside. And therefore, it's very important to deliver that experience to the consumer in terms of a digital experience or a footprint for that consumer. Number two, a lot of people today make up their minds before they come to the showroom on what do they really want. And then they want to see what they have configured. They just want to see that and reassure themselves in the brick and mortar setup. So if you see the way we have the auto-attack philosophy, which is anytime, anywhere, any device, any content, that enables the search from whether you're at home, office, with friends or family. And then finally, you configure a product. When you come to the showroom, you've already made your mind what you want to see. However, the showrooms, which we call the phygital La Maison showrooms, they are configured to actually start from where you have left outside the showroom. You come in and just with the click of your phone number onto the systems, we can restart from where you left your configurations, and we can start that journey again and finish it with a physical demonstration of a vehicle. Brick and mortar, touch and feel remains important, but what has changed is the entire discovery, search, and actual configuration of the vehicle, which happens outside today, and the consumer completes the last mile at the showrooms. A lot of times, post-pandemic, now people are also looking at online buying options. And we started the online journey. Like you said, we were the first company to start that with delivery at home of a fully registered vehicle, ready to drive with the C5. We had 50 pin codes where we were doing that. We are going to expand that to 90 pin codes with the C3. So that part of the process continues. The simple fact is that the C3 is getting to the market. We wanted to keep it very simple, get the vehicle to the market. In that segment, our awareness levels are fairly low at this point in time, and we are being honest about that. And that's a challenge that we have to bridge. C3 gets to the market. We wanted to go with limited options like the consumers want at this point in time. Focus on what we have. And we don't have the automatic, not yet. And not yet means not yet. Therefore, we focus on the two powertrains, the PureTech 82, the PureTech 1-ton, which is the turbo option. 5-speed goes on the naturally aspirated, and the 6-speed goes on the turbo. And then, of course, we settle this into the market. And then, of course, with the C3, beyond C3, with the CQ platform, there are other top hats which are going to come in. The BEV comes in next year, and all other developments keep happening as we keep going.
We really believe that the Indian is committed to develop the EV market and infrastructure. Why I'm saying that is, as you know, Indian government launched the production-linked incentive, meaning that's encouraging the OEM to invest and getting some incentive based on investment and EV vehicle sales. We applied about it because we are committed to develop the electrification of our range. The first car, as announced by our CEO, will be the C3 beginning of next year. So we understand. No, we don't know, but we understand that India is committed to develop the automotive vehicle electrification. We applied for it, and we are going to invest to develop it, and the first car will be a C3. Now, what will be the speed of the growth about the EV market and the infrastructure is difficult to say. What I do understand today, it is that there are not so many competitors, and at this stage, the demand is quite higher than what can be provided. That's what we do understand, listening to the main fleet operator. And we believe that with the EC3 will be one of the first, if I may say, below 4 meters electrified. We have an opportunity to be among the first one to offer an affordable car, either on B2B or on B2C. That's what I believe at this stage.
So, like Roland mentioned very rightly, the PLI scheme from the government was one big proof that the government is really pushing for it. The second is the FAME 2 extension. So we had the FAME policy, the FAME 2 extension. If you look at the state government, each state government is kind of coming up with some kind of a policy to support the adoption of EVs in the state, whether it is in terms of providing benefits to the end consumer, in terms of registration costs or parking fees or anything that they can do at a local level. Now, these are all indicators towards the government supporting it both from the center and the state level. Second, like Roland said, that obviously the competition levels in EV, in affordable EV space, is fairly limited at this point in time. With the modularization of the CQ platform and the fact that we can do a BEV on that, and we can do that locally, that brings in a lot of possibilities that we are looking at. And therefore, when you look at price points, we are not talking price points, but definitely when Roland says affordable BEV, that's what we are aiming at. And with a 95% plus local platform, you do have advantages. You definitely have a lot of advantages when you're electrifying it. Sure. I think I'll go back to what Roland mentioned. When you are 95% plus local, what's really important is that you're also looking at the total cost of ownership. You're not just looking at lowering the cost of acquisition, but also in terms of cost of maintenance. With a supplier base which is so extensively local, consumers will benefit from that.
I would like to one point about it. When we started to develop the conceptualization of this car, we thought about it. We said, again, we listened to the customer set. I listed already some examples, air conditioning and many other points, and being comfortable in the car. They said, we want a cost of ownership which is the lowest possible. So, working with the team, we wanted a car which is easy to repair. Easy to repair, easy to access all parts. When you change one of the parts, you have to change the panel. And so we worked in India with the Indian engineering, because as you know, we have developed this with engineering, using this kind of jugad for what Indians are very famous. And we more seriously, we wanted to develop a car which is going to be easy to repair, easy to access, easy to repair. That is very important to keep in mind the way that we develop this car for Indian, because this was, as you said, fairly, it was a very good question, was one of the, what I so-called essential requests from the customers.
So from a service engineering perspective, I think he's explained it well. I mean, from a service engineering perspective, that effort has gone into the design of the vehicle itself, so that the labor costs associated with, I would say, extensive dismantling of the vehicle to access a small part, that has been kind of kept into mind in terms of design. Second thing is, on a parts availability basis, we have a combined Stellantis PDC now, the parts distribution center, which is based right in the heart of the country, which is in Pune. And we are able to supply it throughout the country. And from there, with the extensive localization, we'll be able to kind of supply parts throughout the country.
I can tell you today our fill rate in terms of parts is very high. It's 96 or 98%, both for both brands.
And last but not the least, the service on wheels continues. And the service on wheels is fairly unique from Citroen, and C5 customers are going to vouch for it. The C5 Aircross customers, they've experienced the service on wheels 500, 600, 700, 800 kilometers outside the city where they bought the car, and we've provided service and spare parts to them. We don't charge them anything extra for it. That's the best part. And with the C3, we are going to continue to extend as the dealership network expands. Every workshop has one service on wheels, and that will expand with the expanding network. So the consumers will get a full confidence on the total cost of ownership.